treat Twitter like your morning cup of coffee would be the best thing for me to tell you next. Is when you get up in the morning, have your cup of coffee, and do your tweet for the day. Now, it doesn't always have to be about your business. It can be something as, it could be something as simple as an affirmation for today. Today, I'm going to go out for a walk for 5 miles, or something a little bit more inventive than that, but something to generate some interest. Because that's the other part of social media, is keeping yourself well-rounded. So therefore, you always get something to talk about, whether it be a hobby, whether it be whatever the case may be, in your personal stuff and in your business stuff. Look inside your business on things that interrelate. So let's say if you pulled on a new client that sells a new widget or something of that nature, you could tweet about stuff like that. And that helps you 2 ways. One, you're supporting your client via the web, helping advertising them. And 2, you're showing people that you care outside of what you do, which gives quality and value to the community, which is what social media is all about. Now, as you go about building your following, there are limitations and limits on what Twitter will allow you to do in a certain length of time. And what I mean by that is, if you're too aggressive on Twitter, that can get you shut down just as much. They won't shut you down if you're not as aggressive. But obviously, it's like anything else. If you develop a Twitter account and you don't touch it for a year, they're probably going to get rid of it because it's just taking up space. So you've got to continue to use it. But what I mean by following is, for instance, when you're going on there starting to follow folks, they have a limit you can follow up to before they stop you, up to 2,000 folks. But what they're looking at is your ratio of how many people are following you back. So what they're kind of saying is, at one point it says realistically you can only follow about 1,000 folks and get something out of it before you're following too many folks and you're not getting as much, is what they're saying. But also in the same time is, it does also look like you're in the middle of spamming too if you're too aggressive. You're getting too far ahead of yourself. You're like getting into too much too quick. And that can come back on you as well. So the idea being here is, you always want to look at try to keep it at a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-3 ratio type idea as you're growing your Twitter account and Twitter base and so forth. Also, reach back. So like if somebody always, at the next following day, after each day you can only follow up to 100 folks, they say, okay? I suggest if you're going to be that aggressive, do about 80, 60 to 80 at max, and that gives you some leadway. Because what you also want to do is, as you're following folks, you want to recheck to see who's following you, because it's never exact. So what that means is you always leave yourself some room to follow people back. But also the following day, you want to go back to check who you're following. Let's stop for a little bit of Q&A right now. Any questions at this point?
I'm a little bit confused here. If you can quantify this, you said that there's a follow limit of 2,000. Mm-hmm. So if I'm following 2,000 people, what's the ratio of how many should be following me?
What I believe is you've got to have at least 50 to 75% following you back.
So there has to be 1,000 people following me?
Well, they'll let you can actually, how do I say this? From my understanding, you could have a third of that follow once you hit 2,000, but then they shut you off. So you have to, therefore you have to
increase the people that are following you, but exponentially if you want to continue to follow above that 2,000 number.
You have to wait till it catches up. It's a catch-up ratio. So therefore you're keeping some type of a quality base.